So I left you hanging yesterday about planting the onions, but the video was just getting too long and I didn't want to have to fatigue you all with following me around the garden. I did end up cleaning out one of the beds, but it was not the 30-foot long bed. I just did not have the heart for that yesterday, so I went for one of the smaller ones. I'm going to try planting the onions in one of these 4x4 square beds this year, which is a little bit different. I have not done that before. I always go for the longer beds because I know that they're going to be in the ground for a long time, and I don't want to have the entire bed just completely tied up for 6 months or whatever until the onions mature. So that's what I did, and now I am sitting here in front of this bed feeling a little bewildered, I have to say. I need to rip out all of the tomatoes and the Bermuda grass, of course. So I'm going to tackle this today. I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll just do this other job or that other job, but it's Sunday today. I've got the time to do it, so I think it's probably the right decision. So I am going to dive in and do this, put on my audiobook, and just get it done. And I think that I'm going to probably plant some more onions in this bed too. That means I'll have two here. So I'm going to think about it while I'm ripping all this stuff out just to make sure I'm okay with that decision, because like I said, it will tie this bed up for months to come. But I want to show you something funny that I found in this bed. So when I was cleaning out the other one yesterday, I found a leek growing, like a full-size leek. And I had let a couple of my leeks that were growing in that 4x4 bed I was cleaning, I'd let them go to flower because the pollinators really love them, and they're beautiful flowers too. So I let it go to flower, and it obviously dropped some seeds, and there were some volunteer leeks growing. So I see in this bed here that there's also a couple of volunteer leeks growing, which is really funny because that means that the seed germinated and grew throughout our entire scorching summer. And so I always think of leeks as being more of a cooler season variety, but these leeks seem to have done okay, which is making me think that maybe I should do an experiment in the spring and start some leek seeds outside just in a little corner and just see how they do during the heat. I'm really curious to see if they'll actually grow or if they'll just completely bolt. I know that there are a couple of varieties of leeks that I know of that are better for the heat, but for the most part, I think people usually will grow them in the cooler season. So I'm going to pull this one up and I'm going to show it to you, and I'm going to see what it looks like because I've got, I think, 3 in here. So let's look at it. All right, y'all, feel sorry for me because this is the work I've got cut out for me today. But there's the leek. Yeah, as you can see right here, that's a really big one. So I'm going to pull that and I'm going to see what it looks like. That actually looks like a pretty good leek to me. So that is really funny. Let me clean it up and we'll see what it looks like. All right, look at this. This is actually a very decent leek. It is nice and firm, and it doesn't look like it's woody at all. It smells really good. And the one that I picked from the other bed yesterday was actually really nice too. I took it in and cleaned it, and I've got it in my fridge right now. Now I'm thinking I should make a French vegetable soup that I love that has leeks in it, and I'm feeling quite rich in leeks right now. Very interesting surprise. I don't know if this phone will do it justice because I'm using my phone today to do my video, but I had been debating about saving these alyssum or ripping them out because they had completely taken over this whole corner of the bed. Now that it's gotten cool, this alyssum, which lasted through the entire summer, has come back in full force and it's blooming. And all of these tiny, tiny little butterflies and very, very tiny native bees. I don't even know if I can get those on camera, but they are tiny. At first I was wondering if they were gnats, but they're actually little tiny bees. They are just all over this alyssum, obviously appreciating the tiny little blooms that accommodate them because they have tiny little mouth parts. And I'm gonna try to see if I can find a bee without scaring it too much. I could just sit here all day and look at this. This is so pretty. I did not know that alyssum would survive the summer heat and live for an entire year. I planted this last late fall and it has been here. I'll back up a little bit so that you can see just how big this patch is, but it is This entire corner of this little bed right here is just alyssum. And I'm actually really, really glad that I kept it. Now let's look for one of those bees. Let me see if I can show you one. I know why they call it sweet alyssum. It smells so good. I wish that I could send you the aroma of that because it is really, really nice. I am sorry about the light right now. It is noon, the worst time of day to be making a video or doing any kind of photography for that matter. And here I am out here talking to you, so hopefully it turns out okay. I am going to harvest the tomatoes that are in this bed right now. Sometimes I grumble because there's a job in front of a job that I have to do and I feel a little impatient about it, but this is one of those times where I will not be grumbling at all because I have got my harvest bowl out here and I get to harvest all of these tomatoes on this vine before I rip it out, and it is time for it to go. It's not looking so great. It's really not setting any more fruit because it's just, I think the nights are getting too cool for it, so it's time. But I am going to enjoy the last gift of its fruits before it does. This was the Nichols heirloom tomato. I got the seeds at the plant sale. When I grew these a few years ago, they were really good. They did great in the heat, and this one did too. It set a lot of fruit, even in the heat. But the flavor on those was great. It was juicy, they were sweet, and they were so good. But then Native Seed Search had stopped carrying them for a while, and it's kind of an interesting story. We had moved to Colorado because of TJ's job, so we were there, and I had my last couple of seeds in this really old seed packet, and I actually got them to germinate. And I think they were like 10 years old, which is crazy. So I had a few plants, I planted this garden, and then the pandemic happened, and we found ourselves both working from home, and we really just wanted to be back in Tucson or in southern Arizona. So we decided to leave, and so I left my garden before I even got to harvest any of it. And the owner of the house, the person that purchased the house, she contacted me through a neighbor and said, I love this tomato. It looks like this, and can you tell me what it is? And I told her I knew exactly which one it was. It was the Nichols heirloom, and she was enjoying the flavor of those so much. But I had to tell her, unfortunately, Native Seed Search wasn't carrying the seeds and hadn't for a couple of years. So obviously, since we had moved, I wasn't able to save any of the seeds from those tomatoes, so I had none. So I went a few years without being able to grow this type of tomato. Well, the Native Seed Search announced that they were going to be selling Nichols heirloom tomatoes at their plant sale again, and I think they have the seeds available on their website too. But there's something different about it this time. I'm just not really liking the flavor. The fruit is kind of mealy, it's kind of washed out, it doesn't have that really sweet, vibrant flavor. So I don't know, like I think I'm not going to save the seeds from this because I am just not enjoying this tomato. And as you know, garden space is a precious commodity, and I'm not going to waste space on something that I don't really, really love. So unfortunately, this one was not a winner this year. I'm hoping that as they grow it out, it will improve. I don't want to talk poorly about Native Seed Search because I absolutely love them and they offer so many great varieties, but the Nichols heirloom this time around is going to get a thumbs down from me. However, I cannot throw these away because I am a good Midwestern girl. As I mentioned yesterday, I cannot stand to waste. So I'm going to pick these. I am going to roast them because when you roast a tomato, even if it's not that great, it actually will improve it so much because all of those flavors just really concentrate down. So that's what I'm going to do with this and make use of it anyway, make the best of it. Man, that thing was a beast for sure, but I found a surprising amount of very small leek seedlings in here that are growing, so I'm gonna see where they're at. I may be able to leave some of them, but I'm not sure. And then I also found a lot of onions, so I also let some onions go to flower last year too, so they are growing, which is really funny. I have got so many tomatoes all over the ground here. Most of them are green or relatively green. I collected as many as I could, but hopefully those seeds are not mature, because I will have tomato seedlings volunteering everywhere next year if they are. Just look at all of those tomatoes, just everywhere, all over the mulch too. So generally green tomatoes don't have mature seeds, but there are some that are kind of on the pink side. So I'm gonna try to pick up as many as I can. Otherwise, the rest of this is grass and onions. Makes me feel tired thinking about it, but shut off my brain and get to work. Oh, it's actually kind of hot out here in the sun, so I had to get my shirt, which is very unattractive because this fair skinned girl has to have something to cover up. There is no amount of sunscreen that will keep me from getting sunburned, so I always have to wear this when I'm doing major work in the garden. It makes me feel kind of frumpy, but you know what? You got to do what you got to do. So let's go. That is the finished bed. So I would say that is a pretty big difference. It basically looked like this one, which is my next task, and now it looks like this. I've just got one more of those 4x4 beds to do, but that will not be happening tonight because I am so tired. I thought I was going to get more done than I did, but that one ended up being really hard. So it took me a couple hours to dig that out, and then I took all of that grass and stuck it into my trash can. So the garbage man tomorrow is probably not going to be very happy with me, but I tried to get it all in there in a very neat and orderly way, because there is no way I'm putting that in my compost bin, and you shouldn't either unless you want to grow Bermuda grass. So I think we all have enough problems with that as it is. The garden is looking really lovely right now. It is probably close to 4 o'clock, and I find that the golden hour is just getting a little earlier, or has gotten earlier through the winter, and I just love the light right now this time of night. So I've been making a little list at night so that I know exactly what I need to do. So tomorrow morning I'm going to get up early and get out here for about an hour before my work day starts so that I can get a few things done. So the calendula blooms I was talking about are finally opening. This one is really interesting. Since all of these plants are just volunteers from the seeds that fell last year, they're a big mix, I think, of all of the colors that I had planted. Because if you look at this one, it's got a really dark red center, but let me go over here and look at all those plants, y'all. I'm so excited. It is going to be a flower kingdom over here. But if you look at this one, you can see that it's got a completely orange center that matches the orange petals. So that one's really cool because it has the red center, kind of like the orange bronze. I think it was called Bronze Beauty that I grew last year, but it has the orange petals around it, like this just traditional calendula, whose name escapes me right now. So I think it's probably a hybrid mix. So that's really kind of cool. I love when things just naturally blend and do their own thing. I've gotten some really interesting looking sunflowers over the years just by letting them do whatever they want to do and then saving the seeds. So it's kind of fun. Sometimes you get weird ones, but sometimes they're really beautiful. So nature knows what she's doing. It has been really fun hanging out with you all and taking you along with me as I do my garden chores over the weekend. So thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate it, and I will talk to you soon.